and this is a story about a West Virginia UFO. I was deer hunting with a good friend of mine, Rob, back in 1978 or 1979. We were hunting with bow and arrows, so it was probably about mid-October. Rob and I had stayed in the woods real late that night because we heard a deer snorting at us, and it snorted like 70 times at us. So Rob and I were walking out, and it was late. It was dark. And as we walked across the top of a pasture field, kind of up on top of a mountain, I looked over to Rob, who was standing to my left, and right up on the horizon over on the next ridge, I was startled when I saw just two lights just shining right on top of the ridge, and they weren't really shining. They were just like two globes of light that were self-contained, but the light wasn't coming from them in any way. There were no light beams or anything. So I stopped Rob and asked him to look if he saw the same thing I saw. And we just sat there and watched these two lights, and they were kind of hovering over the top of the ridge. And we stood there for several minutes watching them, and it was just odd. They were all different colors, but the light wasn't. They were, like I said, they were self-contained in the spheres, side by side, and they moved in unison. But as we watched it for a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden these lights just rose even further above the ridge, and it's like they evaporated. They just evaporated is the best way to describe it. And about the time those lights disappeared, there was a flash of lightning that went from one end of that hollow all the way down to the other end of that hollow. And I mean, it scared us pretty bad because we didn't know what it was. So with bow and arrows in hand, we took off running back to the car. A couple of miles through the woods in the dark with a bow and arrow is not an easy run. But I don't know that I believe in UFOs, but that was certainly a strange experience that scared both of us. And several months later, I read in the newspaper where there was some sighting of a similar UFOs in Egypt that very same weekend. So I just always wondered about those West Virginia UFOs.